The Western alliance is facing its most serious crisis in decades. The reason? An unprecedented shift in American foreign policy. President Trump, in a move that shocked many world leaders, has signaled a potential alliance with Russia. This includes a possible withdrawal of support for Ukraine, a move that has sent shockwaves across Europe. European leaders, caught off guard by this sudden policy shift, are struggling to formulate a cohesive response. This unexpected development has exposed a deep rift within the transatlantic partnership. It raises serious concerns about the future of European security. For decades, Europe has relied on the United States as its primary security guarantor. The Trump administration's actions have shaken this long-held assumption, leaving Europe vulnerable and uncertain. The potential ramifications of Trump's Russia pivot are far-reaching. It could embolden Russia's geopolitical ambitions in Eastern Europe. This situation has put immense pressure on European leaders to reassess their strategic priorities. The era of unquestioned American leadership appears to be over, forcing Europe to contemplate a future where it must assume a more independent role in global affairs. Europe's response to Trump's Ukraine policy has been characterized by a mixture of confusion and division. While most European leaders have publicly expressed their disapproval of Trump's stance, there is no clear consensus on how to proceed. Some countries, particularly those in Eastern Europe with direct borders with Russia, are calling for a strong and unified response. They advocate for increased sanctions against Russia and greater military support for Ukraine. However, other European nations, mainly those in Western Europe, are hesitant to escalate tensions with Russia. They favor dialogue and diplomacy over confrontation. This division within Europe reflects the differing threat perceptions and strategic priorities of its member states. It also underscores the challenges of forging a common European foreign policy, particularly in the face of a more assertive Russia and a less predictable United States. The lack of unity among European nations plays into Russia's hands. It allows Russia to exploit these divisions to its advantage, further weakening the Western alliance. The Kremlin has long sought to undermine European unity and NATO's solidarity. Trump's actions have inadvertently given Russia a powerful tool to achieve its objectives, potentially reshaping the balance of power in Europe in Russia's favor. Faced with the prospect of a diminished American role in European security, European leaders are beginning to contemplate alternative strategies. One option gaining traction is the creation of a European army. This would allow Europe to project military power independently of the United States. It would also reduce Europe's reliance on American military might. Another proposal involves increasing defense spending by European NATO members. This would strengthen Europe's ability to deter potential aggression from Russia. It would demonstrate a renewed commitment to European security. However, both of these proposals face significant obstacles. Creating a European army would require overcoming long-standing political and logistical hurdles. Increasing defense spending would necessitate difficult economic choices at a time when many European countries are facing budgetary constraints. Despite these challenges, the Trump administration's actions have served as a wake-up call for Europe. They have forced European leaders to confront the necessity of greater strategic autonomy. The era of relying on the United States as a security guarantor is coming to an end. Europe must now take responsibility for its own defense and security. This will require greater cooperation and integration among European nations. It will demand bold leadership to navigate the complexities of the evolving geopolitical landscape. Section 4. A House divided internal disputes hinder Europe's strategic response. As Europe grapples with the implications of Trump's foreign policy, internal divisions threaten to undermine its ability to forge a coherent response. The deep-seated disagreements among European nations on a range of issues, from defense spending to relations with Russia, have come to the fore. These divisions are particularly evident between Eastern European countries, which feel most threatened by Russia's actions, and Western European nations, which prioritize diplomacy and economic ties with Moscow. The United Kingdom's departure from the European Union, or Brexit, has further complicated matters. It has created a leadership vacuum within Europe. The UK, traditionally a staunch ally of the United States and a strong advocate for a robust NATO, is no longer a part of the EU's decision-making process. This has left France and Germany, the two most powerful remaining members of the bloc, to assume greater responsibility for shaping Europe's response to the crisis. However, even Paris and Berlin are not immune to internal political pressures. Both countries face growing populist movements that are skeptical of the European project and wary of confrontation with Russia. These internal divisions within Europe play into Russia's hands, allowing Moscow to exploit these differences to weaken the Western alliance and advance its own interests. Section 5: Dawn of a New Era, a more assertive Europe on the world stage. The crisis in transatlantic relations sparked by Trump's foreign policy pronouncements has ushered in a new era in European politics. It is an era defined by uncertainty, but also by the potential for greater European assertiveness on the world stage. The old certainties of the post-Cold War order, with the United States as the guarantor of European security and the transatlantic alliance as the bedrock of Western power, have been shaken. Europe is now faced with a choice, either to retreat into disarray and irrelevance, or to rise to the challenge and forge a new path for itself. This new path will necessitate a more independent and assertive Europe, a Europe capable of defending its interests and upholding its values in a world where the old rules no longer apply. It will require strong leadership, a willingness to compromise, and a shared sense of purpose among European nations. The stakes could not be higher. The future of Europe, and indeed the future of the liberal international order, may very well depend on the choices that European leaders make in the months and years to come.